Writers' room coaches are recruited by word of mouth, through churches and synagogues, via the PTA, and through articles in the local newspaper. All coaches, whether they are prize-winning playwrights, college students preparing to be teachers, or accountants, go through a 6-week instructional period in which they learn how to respond to student papers. They learn how to identify what works and how to help students build on their strengths.
One of the things we want to do with the papers that we've just looked at is to get a sense of how we would respond to what the students put on the paper. Because as you remember, the idea when we're responding this way, and particularly when we're using these forms, is that this is something that the student takes back with him or her. I mean, you'd be amazed at how they do it. They check off every little thing you say. And have I done it? You know, is this what they want? Because we're coaches and they really believe that we can help them, and we can. And one of the ways we can help them is being very clear, being very concise, and making what we say is doable. So what we've developed over the past year is a sort of a breakdown like this, in which we have strong points, and then we have suggestions for revision, and then down at the very bottom we put just mechanics. At this stage of first draft, we're not too concerned with the nitpicky kinds of things, because our rule is if the sentence isn't logical, you can't punctuate it. So there's no point in punctuating something that isn't full to begin with or doesn't make sense. So we save those niceties for later. But if the student is just one thing that's a real problem, you can say, point it out when you revise, do such and such, or pay attention to, or please spell the author's name correctly. That I will always put on if the author's name is not spelled correctly. That may sound, you'd be surprised.
It's horrible.
As an author,
yes.
It's, one feels very, the authors club who are, well represented in this group. But also it's the easy thing. Anyway, let's go over, we have 3 real papers tonight, and I'd like to, this is the first time you've done it, so don't worry, really don't worry. This is a process, and you're going to key into the process. So I'd like to see who's going to be the first volunteer. Just name the paper. Show us the paper you're using. Deborah?
Oh, sure.
See, I could look at her paper. I saw what she had on there.
Instead of choosing, I just took the first paper that came to me.
Okay.
Because I felt like that's how the papers are going to come to me, so I just took the first one. My comments were...
Which one was that?
This is...
This one?
Right,
yeah.
That's that one. In terms of what position, I position this as a medium paper. Mm-hmm. I thought that the writer had some very good, strong points in terms of why they were taking their position.
Why don't we tell everybody what the topic is? I think that's important.
The topic is regarding Of Mice and Men, the book by John Steinbeck, and whether or not the reader felt like George did the right thing when he killed Lenny.
Right. It's a topic that kids are really interested in. They get very excited by this issue, moral issue.
And in this case, the writer, his position was, yes, that George did do the right thing when he killed Lenny. And he has some really very strong sentences, strong points about why he took that position. A few that I pointed out to him were that Lenny was certain to die, and then he goes on later and says, and would not be treated with compassion.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That's the kind of sentence that just sort of makes you go, wow.
And then he went on in another portion and said, George felt responsible for Lenny and could see no way of saving Lenny from himself.
Oh.
And then the other that I noted was, it's sort of the end of another sentence, desperation pushes them to take actions that aren't always the best. And I thought that each of these were really very important and valid points in terms of why he was taking the position that he was taking.
Yeah.
In terms of recommendations for next steps, after outlining the particular sentences that I thought were really strong, as well as some others, I mentioned that in the next draft that the writer might want to add a few more bits of the plot and other examples from the story just to help the reader understand what was happening in the story in terms of helping him to take his position. At one point, he or she mentions a quote.
This happens to be a boy, so that was letting you.
Mentions a quote from Curly, and he basically gives the quote verbatim. And what I said was that the quote from Curly's statement was a very good point, very poignant kind of quote, but at the same time the reader would like to have known what he felt about that statement.
Oh, good.
More so, in addition to the statement itself,
Right.
how he felt once he read that. So that was the next steps that I thought that they might take in their next draft.
Oh, good. So you're responding, I think that's the thing of it, is responding as a reader, being keyed into the quality of the writing when a phrase hits you that's good, being able to respond to that and picking up the strong points is so key because kids need to know what they do well and how they did it well.
Building a community of coaches is what it's all about, being a group of reader responders who speak with a common voice.
I think the moment where I really saw the power of the training was when a student came in, a young woman who was angry about reading a book and had agreed with the teacher that she would only do 8 paragraphs. And she was really hostile about writing and hostile about the idea of the assignment. And the training was very valuable there because before that I think I would have maybe argued with her or even been stumped. But we found the one germ of an idea, which in this case was the freedom to write about what she didn't like about the book. And when she realized that was possible, she got very excited. And the moment for me was when she came back later and said, John, I just wanted to tell you I got a B-. And I said, oh, well, that's good. She said it's the best grade I've ever had in my life. And when she came back the next time looking for some more tutoring voluntarily, she looked for a minute. She said, I want you. And I said, well, maybe we can go for an A this time. But I saw 2 things that were really striking. The training made all the difference in the world. It gave me, when I write for a living, it gave me a frame of reference that was very valuable. And I could see that the one-on-one aspect of the program, which is making a personal contact with kids who didn't seem as if they wanted to write, but when they started to, really got excited about it. And that was very exciting. It's very exciting as a writer to learn that you can ignite that spark in somebody else. And it's even more exciting to have some frame of reference in your head, some sense of instruction, a way to proceed. What do you do when a kid is hostile? What do you do when a kid is frightened? What do you do with a kid, as many of them were, who've never been encouraged in this way at all? And in my previous tutoring and writing experiences in the public schools, I was sometimes successful and sometimes not, but when I was successful, it was more luck. And in this case, I really knew what to say. We sort of talked through what to say and what to be prepared for. So the 2 things to me that really stick in my mind are the training was just incredibly important. And the way the program is structured, the kids always seemed to feel comfortable. There wasn't a lot of tension around it. There wasn't a sort of sense of pass-fail. I wasn't looking to instill all kinds of rules in their heads about writing or grammar or spelling. It was really there to sort of reach in and find the spark and just ignite it, and to be encouraging and positive.